Welcome to this explainer. If you've ever stood in the gardening aisle just totally overwhelmed, staring at a wall of chemical symbols on fertilizer bags, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're decoding the secret language of plant nutrition to give you a simple, actionable blueprint for a thriving garden. Let's dive straight into a mystery we've literally all faced. You water your plant perfectly. You give it the exact right sunlight. You care for it deeply, and yet it still turns yellow, gets all crispy, and wilts. No way, right? It's totally baffling. Well, the answer usually lies hidden right beneath the soil in the plant's diet. It's a nutritional puzzle, and we're going to solve it right now. To solve this puzzle, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to decode those NPK codes, look at basal versus top dressing, cover diagnosis and first aid, dive into NPK mixing techniques, and wrap up with the golden fertilizing rules. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, decoding NPK codes, or the plant diet. Just like you and I need a balanced diet of carbs and proteins, your plants need a specific nutritional foundation. Think of nitrogen, the N, as the ultimate leafy green builder. If your older leaves are turning pale yellow, they're probably starving for it. Phosphorus, the P, that's the underground worker for strong roots and big blooms. Potassium, or K, is basically the plant's immune system bodyguard. Without it, you get weak stems. And that plus TE you sometimes see, that stands for trace elements. Essentially, your plant's daily multivitamin, things like magnesium and zinc that keep the whole operation running smoothly. Now, what's really cool is that those intimidating numbers on the bag, they aren't some secret chemical code. They just represent the exact percentages of N, P, and K. So a bag labeled 20-20-15, that's literally 20% nitrogen, 20% phosphorus, and 15% potassium. Or take a standard 16-16-8 mix, that perfectly even balance of N and P makes it fantastic for general, everyday vegetative growth. The rest of the bag is just filler or trace elements to help spread it evenly. See? It's just a simple recipe ratio. Moving right along to Section 2, basal versus top dressing. Because, well, timing is everything. Understanding what to feed your plant is only half the battle. Knowing exactly when to serve the meal, that's where the real magic happens. There are two main dining events. Basal dressing is basically laying a rock-solid foundation before you even build the house. You do this right as you plant, mixing high amounts of phosphorus deep into the soil to establish strong roots. Top dressing, on the other hand, is your quick boost. It's applied right on the surface during active growth to give them a fast, targeted hit of energy. So the crucial takeaway here is that a plant's diet has to shift dynamically. Check out this timetable. During early vegetative growth, you hit them with high nitrogen so they grow tall. But actually, scratch that. When pre-flowering starts, you've got to shift gears to high potassium to support those buds. When they're fruiting, they need both nitrogen and potassium. And post-harvest, honestly, the poor things are completely exhausted. A good dose of nitrogen and phosphorus helps them recover and rebuild their root system. Which brings us to Section 3, diagnosis and first aid. Welcome to the danger zone. Look, we've all done it. We want to speed up our plant's growth, so we think, hey, more fertilizer's better, right? Wrong. Loving them too much can trigger a literal crisis. This brilliantly illustrates the difference. A starving plant slowly fades. You'll see those old bottom leaves turn yellow. But an overfed plant, it's suffering from severe toxicity. We're talking burnt, crispy leaf tips, and a naturally dark green color, and sudden wilting even when the soil is perfectly wet. You might even spot a crusty white salt layer right on top of the dirt. So what's actually happening underground? Well, when you dump too much fertilizer, the soil becomes so incredibly salty, it triggers something called osmotic shock. It literally reverses the flow of water. Instead of the roots drinking from the soil, the salty soil sucks moisture right out of the plant's roots. It physically burns them until they turn dark brown and mushy. And if it happens to be a hot, sunny day, oh man, this toxic process just accelerates like wildfire. If you spot these signs, don't panic, just act fast. Here is your emergency rescue protocol. Step 1, stop feeding them immediately. Step 2, flush that pot heavily with clean water. You want it pouring out the bottom holes to literally wash those excess salts away. Finally, apply some natural detoxifiers. A mix of liquid seaweed extract with something like a tonic, calihumate, or vitamin B1 works absolute wonders to soothe those chemically shocked roots. All right, Section 4, NPK mixing techniques. Let's go from amateur to expert. Once you've got the basics down, you might want to ditch the generic pre-mixed bags and blend your own custom fertilizers safely. Advanced growers do this by combining raw, single nutrient granules. But heads up, this requires strict mathematical discipline. Plus, some of these materials are highly reactive. For instance, you absolutely never want to mix calcium-based fertilizers with sulfates or phosphates. They lock up and become completely useless. If you just guess the mix, you're going to burn your crops for sure. So, here's the master formula the pros use to hit the exact NPK ratio without risking a toxic overdose. A is the amount of raw fertilizer you need to weigh out. To find it, you take P, your desired percentage, multiply by T, the total weight you're making, and then divide the whole thing by R, which is the nutrient percentage already in the raw material. It looks a bit like a math test, but I promise it's a total game changer once you use it. Let's put that into practice. Say you're mixing 100 kilos of a custom 6-10-5 mix. Using the formula, you carefully calculate exactly how much raw nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium you need. The exact same math applies if you're making a 10-5-10 mix for the fruiting stage. Now, once you add up those raw weights, it's probably going to be way under 100 kilos. That remaining gap, you just fill it with an inert material, like gypsum. This balances the weight and dilutes those strong chemicals so they don't fry your roots. But, quick warning here, there's a mathematical trap. If you try to mix a super high concentration fertilizer, like a 30-10-10 ratio, using basic materials, your math might give you a total weight that actually exceeds your 100 kilo limit. It's physically impossible to mix. When that happens, you have to ditch the basic granules and step up to highly specialized, potent liquid chemicals like phosphoric acid just to fit all those heavy nutrient demands into the bag. Finally, Section 5, the golden fertilizing rules, or the 4 rights. To make sure you never actually have to use that rescue protocol, you've got to follow the universal laws of agriculture. You'll often hear about the 5 rights of fertilizing. First, use the right type for the plant's current stage. Second, the right dose. Seriously, follow the bag. Third, the right time of day. Fourth, the right method, like trenching instead of just dumping it on the root collar. And that bonus 5th right, the right place, meaning putting it exactly where the roots can actually reach it. And let me leave you with a massive pro tip. Literally never fertilize at high noon under a blazing sun. It's a death sentence. The heat evaporates the water and leaves behind a hyper-concentrated spike of salts. Also, if your plant is severely diseased, stop. Don't feed it. A sick plant cannot digest heavy nutrients. It's like forcing someone with the flu to eat a massive 5-course steak dinner. It doesn't help at all, it just causes way more stress. We've decoded the numbers, figured out the timing, and explored the real science of plant nutrition. Armed with all this, I want you to take a walk outside today and really observe your leaves. Don't just water them blindly. Ask yourself, are they begging for a meal or are they desperately asking for a diet? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy gardening.